Hello, my name is Stephen Bashong. I'm Associate Editor with Solar Power World, and this is Solar Speaks Live, powered by Unirac. I'm here this morning with Jeff Calabro. He is Senior Vice President of Business Development at Arraycon. Thank you for being here, Jeff.
Hey, thanks for having me, appreciate it.
You got it. Just to begin, Arraycon was recognized as 2016's top solar contractor for construction firms by Solar Power World. So congratulations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Curious what propels your success in the industry?
It's a good question. It's a combination of a few things. I believe at the top, it's our executive leadership and the experience that we all bring to the table. We've all been in the industry for roughly 20 years each. We've worked together in the capacity either as a customer or a contractor. We also work together at one of the larger development firms, helping to grow that business. And so we started the business about 6 years ago, and it's because of that leadership, the experience that we have in the space that I believe is helping to propel the business. It is also the fact that we're a smaller company. We have a fleet of equipment that I think is greater than any other of our competitors. It's a differentiator for us. We have roughly $30 million invested in capital equipment for construction. The majority of that equipment supports the pile foundation and mechanical work, and some EPC work that we also do.
I want to ask you about the equipment specifically. Sure. I think that the difference between a regular old solar contractor and a construction firm is the heavy equipment you guys use. So just curious, what's the most powerful piece of equipment Arraycon has?
In our fleet, it's the ABI.
Okay.
And so the ABI unit performs the majority of our downhole hammer, probably challenging projects.
Okay.
We have two types of equipment, but again, the ABI is the largest. It exerts over 85 tons of force, driving piles, to depths of, again, 10, 12, 15 feet. It also performs pre-drill. In the event that we run into some challenging soils on a project, we'll pre-drill the hole and then drive the pile down that way.
And having this equipment is important because all the perfectly square tracts of land for solar are getting used up. So the areas where we put solar now are more and more difficult when it comes to turn. So what kind of work can this equipment accomplish?
Well, again, it's the more challenging sites where we have soil conditions where what we have is rejection of piles, and where we can't just via vibratory hammer method drive it into the ground. So we'll pre-drill, and that's where the ABI comes into play. It can perform that challenging work and get it done in a fairly timely manner to keep us on schedule.
Do you often work as a subcontractor then under an EPC that is working on a project, and then they call you in, they say, hey, we cannot get this into the ground? Or do you do the whole project normally?
Our core competency is pile foundation and mechanical work. Typically that is performed as a subcontractor to an EPC or a developer / EPC. We're brought in earlier in the process. We're given the plan set. We contract the work, and then we go out, perform it, and then get it to the point where the electricians can come in and do their dirty work.
So best case scenario, they do some soil testing and find out if they need you ahead of time.
Absolutely. A geotech is performed on the site, tells us what type of soil conditions we can expect. Sometimes there are unforeseen subsurface conditions that we run into, but the geotech is definitely a requirement to go out and perform work on these utility scale projects.
All right. So I was on your website and I read something that surprised me. It said Arraycon owns and operates 6 ABI vibratory pile machines. That's the machine you were just talking about, right? Very powerful. It said they provide a faster and more precise civil construction phase and eliminate the usage of cement foundations, which is a leading producer of CO2 globally. Obviously, solar, a green industry, so that stuck out to me. So it turns out the concrete industry is one of the two largest producers of CO2, creating up to 5% of worldwide man-made emissions of the gas, of which 50% is from the chemical process and 40% is from burning fuel. So What does Arraycon do to help this issue?
Really, it's the equipment.
Okay.
The equipment is EPA Tier 4 compliant, which is designed via controls and exhaust infrastructure in the equipment that limits the amount of CO2 and NOx emissions. Arraycon is a pure solar contractor. That's all we focus on is solar projects, and we want to make sure that as a pure solar contractor, we stand behind that by putting equipment on site that is not going to create a carbon footprint, which deviates from what we're trying to do out there, and that's get solar in the ground.
Yeah, you said you've all been involved in solar for a long time.
Yeah,
so
real long time.
So your company works primarily on utility scale projects, like you said. I'm curious, has the installation process become easier over the years as you get new equipment and different types of materials to work with?
Sure. I would say in a perfect world, it's become easier, but every job is different. I think anybody who performs construction in this industry knows that you don't know what's going to happen until you get on site. And some of those impacts that you experience are either driven by soil conditions or labor issues. So
right.
In a perfect world, yeah, there are efficiencies that are gained in your process, in the equipment, but every job is different.
Right, I'm sure. So you've been walking around SPI for a couple days, I assume. What have you found most interesting or surprising?
Well, I will say this, I've come to a lot of SPIs, more than I can count, and typically when I'm here I have back-to-back meetings and I really don't get a chance to walk around.
Okay.
But to answer that question, I would say the attendance this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would say there's a higher attendance. I'm seeing a lot of new faces. A lot of us have been doing this for a long time, as we've mentioned, but I see a lot of new people. I see a significant interest in what's going on. And there always seems to be a sense of people trying to navigate what's going to come next.
I wonder what you attribute that to. Is it the ITC?
Yeah, absolutely.
And people feel
Sure.
more confident?
Yeah, I would say with the ITC extension, everybody feels okay. A little bit of a release of pressure, But I think because of the ITC, there's also going to be a slight downturn.
Right.
In the space, and mainly because development put the brakes on prior to the extension. And when you're talking about utility scale development, it takes a lot of time. And so I think we're going to see a little bit of a gap, but I think that'll also be backstopped by projects that people couldn't get done, get done now. And that's really being driven by compression and the pricing on the major equipment.
Got it. And then my co-editor, the wonderful Kelly Piccarell, would like to know if Arraycon has a capital C in the middle of the name or a lowercase c.
It is a lowercase c.
A lowercase c.
And Arraycon stands for Array Construction. So,
there we go.
Yeah, so I'm glad to put that to bed. It is a lowercase c.
Thank you. Now we can stop the inter-office argument. Appreciate it. All right, well, Jeff Calabro, Senior Vice President of Business Development at Arraycon, thank you so much.
Thanks, Stephen. Appreciate it.
My name is Stephen Bushong. I'm Associate Editor at Solar Power World. This has been Solar Speaks Live, powered by Unirac. Thank you.